Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to A Cup of Joe with Joe. I'm your girl, Johana, better known as Joe. Thank you for joining me again in our fifth episode of A Cup of Joe with Joe. Want to send out all my thanks and well wishes to everybody who's supporting, texting, calling, and wishing the best and just telling me how much they're enjoying this, how much it's blessing them. Can't thank you enough for your support. Along the line of support, I am going to need you, my newcomers, or some of you guys who have not done so yet, to go on my YouTube page and subscribe and hit the bell button so you could get notification when we do go live on YouTube, as well as follow me on Instagram or Facebook, like, subscribe, do all of those things to help support and show your support for the program. I'm excited for today's episode. It continues along the line of relationships and, post the pandemic. And so today we're going to be talking about money. Money is very sensitive topic to talk about. Money, the love of money is the root of all evil. I mean, there's just so many things around money. So I decided along the track of relationship communication and things like that, money is definitely something that we should discuss here at A Cup of Joe with Joe. So here we go. So according to a new survey that was done recently, I think it was 2019, money is the second leading cause of divorces in America. Money is the second leading causes of divorces in America. TD Ameritrade another survey found that 41% of Gen Xers, and Gen X is actually my generation. They're between the age of 41 and I think 56. So 41% of Gen X and 29% of baby boomers list money reason as a reason for their divorce, right? And another TD Ameritrade survey now around young people, younger adults, find that 29% of single adults states they have no control over their finances. 29% states they have no control over their finances. 27% in that same survey, 27% says money issue is a huge anxiety-inducing thing for them. They are very much anxious about money. 27% of young single adults says financial money is the leading cause of their anxiety. So, giving all these statistics and numbers around money and the issues with money, right? Or more appropriately, the lack of understanding of money, no wonder it is the second leading cause of divorces and marriages, right? So, what can be done about it? How do we, talk about it? How do we make it easy for us to talk about? So, our topic today is this, right? It is relationship post the pandemic era. Her needs, his needs. Her money, his money, or our money, right? Whose money is it? So let's get into it. So most of you probably didn't know that, but I think some of you did. Most of you don't know that, but my husband and I are part of the financial stewardship ministry at our local church here in Nashville. Actually, from 2012 to 2019, I believe, we were actually one of the primary leaders of the ministry. We still are part of the ministry, but we're co-leaders now of the ministry. And so we were using the Dave Ramsey program in addition to other personal finance tools out there to help people in our community, to help people in our church better manage their money. We were even going as far as when we're called upon to do one-on-one coaching with people, sitting with couples and singles to help them better personally manage their finances, right? We as a family also went through the program. We did Financial Peace University when we were at our worst, which I'll tell you a little bit later on. And so we use Dave's program, we use other programs that were biblically founded, that were sound advice around personal finance to help us, and then we used it then to help other people in the church. We've done many coordinated of classes I think I've coordinated, they sent me the numbers. I think I've coordinated over 35 classes from 2012 to last year, right before the pandemic. So all of this to say is not that it makes us an expert at personal financial finance issues and family. It just gives us experience, right? We're not an expert, but it just gives us experience on how to better manage our money, what we've done, mistakes we've made, how we've recalibrated, and how we've sat and walked through personal finance with other people and couples in our lives. So we're not expert as a family, but we have experience, nearly 10 years experience in this, and it's worked in our lives, right? So, but with all things, what I'm trying to teach you guys, with everything we try to do here at A Cup of Joe with Joe, we have to start a foundation. We have to build a foundation. It has to go from the beginning, right? And we know in the beginning was the Word, right? And so biblical foundation is my way that pulled us out of financial nightmare. And so I'm going to do what I know best, is what does the Bible say about money? What does the Word, His Word, say about money, right? So we're going to start with that biblical foundation. So in looking at this, there's so many verses in the Bible about money. I particularly want to focus on two verses that really stood out to me in context of personal money issues as it relates to marriage and even in people's singleness. So these are the two verses I want to focus on today. The two verses are Psalms 24 and Psalms 50. Psalm 24 states this: "The earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who lives in it." Psalm 50 states, "For every beast of the forest is mine, says the Lord, and the cattle on 1,000 hills." So wait, the earth is the Lord and everything in it, and He owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. So get it, He owns it all. It is all His. So foundationally, first and foremost, we must understand He owns it all. It is all His. Right? And remember back in episode 1, what we set as our foundation here at A Cup of Joe with Joe. My goal is to teach you to know who you are and whose you are, right? So the person who you belong to just told us in these two verses that it all belongs to Him, right? He owns it all, indicating that if He owns it all, we are simply then the guardian, the stewards, the manager of it. It does not belong to us. We are the stewards and managers of it, right? So we know in the Bible multiple parables, especially in the New Testament, that Jesus talks about money and how, the coins, He's giving us the coins and the talents, and we're the managers of it all, right? God bless us with those things. We are the stewards and managers of it. He owns it all. So therefore, if we are managers of it, the question remains then, how are we managing what He has given us responsibility over? How are we managing it? What kind of manager we are? What kind of stewards are we of what we've been given responsibility of, right? So are we honoring His commandments, His command? One of those commands being in Genesis in the beginning when He says to Adam and Eve both to be fruitful and multiply. Do you know that that command wasn't just for the purpose of childbearing? That command was about everything He has given you dominion over. You need to be fruitful and multiply over it. He has given you that responsibility to be fruitful and multiply over it, right? In modern time, that translates into our ability to earn an income, bring wealth, bring money, earn a living. That's what that part is what relates in the modern era. So we are to honor that part of that commandment that we were giving by how we are earning our money, how we're managing our money, how we're growing our money, not just for our family, but for generations to come, right? So in order for us to win at money and managing money, and money not being a source of anxiety and issues in marriage, we must first understand its purpose. What is its purpose? What was the purpose of the talents and the coins that we were blessed with and the opportunity to earn? What is the purpose? One of the, as I mentioned before, Dave Ramsey being a leader in personal finance, he says this all the time. This is the quote. He says all the time, money is amoral. meaning money has no feelings, right? Money is amoral. So how you use money, what you do with it, it all depends on your mindset. Money is amoral, right? It doesn't have any feeling. So it's the person's attitude, disposition, understanding of money that makes money either a blessing or a curse, right? It's the person managing the money and their understanding of that money. So either you understand it or you don't understand how to manage money. So what do you bring with you in managing that money, right? So another book I want to highlight, and I want to take my time with this one. So it's Dr. Miles Monroe's book. In the book, Understanding the Purpose and Power of a Woman, which, by the way, I recommend any husband, men who wish to be husband, men who are going to be husband, to read that book. There's also a man version that I recommend to the ladies. They're Understanding the Purpose and Power of a Man. Amazing book. In this book, Dr. Miles Monroe states this. He said, when purpose is unknown, abuse is inevitable. When purpose is unknown, abuse is inevitable. Listen, this quote is equally appropriate and applicable with money management, right? Because we can easily say, when the purpose of money is unknown, abuse is inevitable. When the purpose of money is unknown, abuse of it is inevitable, right? So whether you're married or single, if I can get you to identify the purpose of the money and how to use it in your life for your family, how to create wealth, how to manage it so it doesn't manage you, if I can help you do that, then money will no longer be a source of anxiety, a source of contention in marriage. It will be a way to be a blessing to others. So, for example, singles, what is your goal with money, right? What is the goal of money in your life? Right? What's the purpose of it? Why? What's the goal? What are you trying to achieve with money? Are you trying to be out there, live the Instagram life of living your best life, right? Frolicking to and fro, buying and shopping and keeping up with the Joneses. Is that the goal, living your best life out there? Is that the goal of money in your life? Because, the verse in the Bible says, where your treasure is, there also your heart is. That verse is talking about value. Right? It's alluding to value of your treasure. What do you value the most? Right? Do you value creating a legacy, building stability for yourself, your dreams, your future spouse, your future kids? Is that what's valuable to you? Or is it living to show others that you've got this, or I've got this, I've got so-and-so, I'm doing this, and how I'm living, see me, is that the purpose and goal for money in your life? Because when you consider 70% of young single adult, 70% of young single adult don't even have a fully funded emergency fund. 70% do not have a fully funded emergency fund. You know what a fully funded emergency fund means? It's 3 to 6 months of your entire household income in a savings account. 3 to 6 months of your entire household income in a savings account. 70% of young adults don't even have that, right? So imagine you have that and you want to get married, or you hope to get married. No wonder money issues infiltrate marriages, right? And no wonder it's a second leading cause of divorce, because you've got a single person getting married, bringing their ideas, their attitude, their thought process about marriage, good or bad. So you already have this idea, you already have this toward thinking about money, and you are joining another person, right? Which is the beginning of the whole your money is your money, my money is my money thing in marriages, right? Because that's what's at the root cause of issues related to money in marriages, right? Because you've got two different people from two different upbringings with two different attitudes and behaviors about money colliding, right? So you've got that going for you, and money already has emotional attachment and emotional baggage when you don't know how to deal with it. And so when that comes together and it becomes a sensitive issue talking about marriage, that's when you have all the emotions that come out, right? And that's why a couple can't talk about money, because it's literally lighting a match, because you've got all these undercurrent issue already attached to money. My husband once told me that money takes the shape of its owner. I thought that was powerful. Money takes the shape of its owner. But here's the thing, as we started with Psalms 24 and Psalms 15, but if you understand who truly is the owner, and that you are not the owner, but rather the manager of money, then it all belongs to him. So it takes his shape. And this is the very same God who we belong to, the very same God that has a purpose for your life, the very same God that has a purpose for the money and the finance in your life, whether single or married. If you understand that he is the owner, you are the manager, and you are the steward of it. Single or married, you approach personal finance and money management differently, right? Because you don't own it, you're managing it. So you're like, okay, Joe, got it. But it's all good and dandy, but how do I make this practical in my life? I'm already in a big mess. I'm already swimming in debt. I'm already spending more than I'm earning. How do I win practically with money? Glad you asked. I am going to use my personal story, and I'm going to be very transparent here. So here goes. So my husband and I's personal way of handling our personal finance in our home actually touch upon all three of the topic that I mentioned earlier. We use the approach of his money, her money, and our money, right? There is his money, her money, and our money. However, let me explain. When we went through the Dave Ramsey program, one of the things I loved about it is in the beginning, there was a quick money personality assessment. And if you know me, you know I love psychological personality assessments, because it just reveals so much about the person. And if you are a self-aware person, you want to know as much about yourself and what makes you tick. So I love that personal finance assessment that we took. And so this assessment tells you if you are a spender or saver, if you tend to be a nerd with money and finance, or if you tend to be a free spirit when it comes to money or budgeting. So whether you're a spender, saver, nerd, or free spirit. I know in our Haitian culture, and I know when I was getting married with Mac early on, I remember that's what people were building in my head, right? In our Haitian culture, there tends to be this tendency that because, to believe that women, or because we're better household managers, right? Because we stay at home more often with the kids, we're also better money managers, because it kind of goes hand in hand, managing the household, managing the finance of the household. Well, that wasn't the case for me. That was not the case for me. And so you can guess it, after the result of the personality financial assessment states that I was the free spirit spender, and Max was the nerd saver, right, in our marriage. Even though, which I thought was really odd, even though in everything else in my life, almost everything else in my life, I tend to be conservative. Even in my investment approach, I tend to be conservative. But when it comes to personal finance and spending, I was a free spirit spender. Max was a nerd saver, right? So prior to this revelation and understanding, my attitude towards money was, and the way I interacted with money was reckless at best case scenario. It was very reckless, and it was very toxic. My thinking with money, especially when, and my money, my thinking was, as long as the mortgage, the car note is paid, and I took care of that, what I did, everything else was good. What I did with money was my money. We had no budget, we had no communication, no savings, no planning, nothing related to money. And that was on both sides of the coin, neither he nor I in the beginning. So, but now that we were going through the class and we were understanding how we behave with money and the purpose of money and our emotion that was attached to money, it became more important to us as a family to state the family purpose and family goals. And so not understanding that was destroying our marriage. It was destroying our finances. And so this idea of my money was my money, like it was that's how I thought. My money was my money. Max had little to no say on my money. How I spent my money was my business. He had nothing to do with it. This became even more reckless and more of a thought process for me in the spring of 2009 when I took a position and my salary literally took an upward increase. And so I was on salary, I was on bonus, and I was just making a boatload of money. And I was like, whoa. So imagine you giving increased income and bonus to a free spirit spender with a love of shoes, y'all. So you've got a misunderstanding of money and the purpose of money, and you've got an increase coming in to someone who has no business managing money. So it was bad. So let's say by 2011, it had gotten very out of control. It was very toxic how I was running money. It was not working for my household. And then when you add, we already had other marital issues going on in the marriage. I mean, it was just a disaster waiting to happen. It was just like nothing I'd ever. One of the biggest stressful time of my life was the year of 2011, which coincidentally was the year I started making more. I was making more money. In the words of the only thing I could think of, in the words of, Brooklyn's best lyricist ever, Mr. Biggie Smalls, more money meant more problems. Okay, it did not make things better. More money for Johana meant more problems. And so by the fall of 2011, we were facing foreclosure, car repossession, a pile of credit card debts, payday loan debts. I mean, you name it, we had it. Everything. We had everything at our doorstep. The money issue magnified the fragile marriage we already had. And it was a recipe for disaster. So how did we get out of it? What did we do, Joe? Well, using the information we got from the course that we were taking and other tools that we were using and people that were surrounding us and giving us help and giving us tools, we decided, and I know this is going to sound cliche, but it is the truth, and it was the truth in my life. We decided to use God's money, God's way. Simple as that. We decided to use God's money, God's way. We decided to start budgeting and seeing where our money was going. We decided to budget using God's money, God's way, and living on what we were making and not trying to live a life that we couldn't afford to live, right? And so I understood money management better because we were budgeting, right? And I also understood money management in our household was not my ministry. It was not my strong suit. It was, even though in my professional life, I'm a revenue cycle management for businesses. At my home, money management was not my strongest suit. It was not my ministry. It was something my husband was best suited to handle. So we decided to hand over the money finance to Max. And funny enough, it was when we were separated. So while we were separated, we made the decision to sit with each other monthly. He would come to the house monthly, and we sat in the kitchen and created a budget. And we started giving every dollar that was coming in the household a name, and it was going to certain things, right? So the reason behind why, even when we were separated, we wanted to do a budget, because we really thought, okay, if divorce is inevitable in our lives and we're gonna get divorced no matter what, the least we could do is clean up this mess we created before we could bring it into somebody else's life. Like, it's not gonna be the other person's responsibility to clean up our irresponsibility. You know what I mean? What we messed up on. So we're like, it's the very least we can do for the other party that's coming in our life. So we decided to walk this journey. So based on the assessment we took, like I said, I had a bigger vision, a clearer purpose for money. I was not suited to handle it. Max was. That was his thing. He was the nerd. He was the one with the spreadsheet and all of that. I let him have it. And ladies, this was even with me bringing home more money in the household. I know there's a tendency, if you're making more money, or whoever's making more money in the household is the one that leads that. That was not the case for me, because now I understood that is not my strong suit. So my husband, and he'll attest to that, knew, even though I was making more money, he was managing the finances for separate household with plan of separating. So that was literally God divine. Anyways, we did that though. The reason why we could do that, even though we were separating, is because we had a common goal. And the common goal was we now knew the purpose of money. We wanted to leave a legacy for Frankie, and we didn't want to bring baggage to the other party that if we were gonna get a divorce, that we were gonna meet another person, and we didn't want to bring that baggage into their lives as well. So the way we did it is this, and this is the practical part. This is how we did it. So I have a personal checking account where a portion of my income goes into my personal checking account, right? Max has a separate personal checking account as well, where a portion of his income also goes in that personal checking account. We then have a joint account, checking and saving, where the majority of our income goes into, right? So this is how we're broken it down. So every major household related expense and bills is handled from the our joint account where all the bills are being paid. What's in my account, however, handles minor bills such as my cell phone. Frankie has a small credit card, my, hair, nails, small bills. It also handles my consulting practice. Like I have a checking savings account for that. This is where I, save money away for taxes, to pay taxes. As a 1099, you pay taxes quarterly, fees, and things like that to run businesses and things like that. So that money in my personal checking account goes to take care of all of those miscellaneous stuff, right? So that goes into her money line item in the budget. By doing it that way, I don't need to go to Max for all of my minor miscellaneous stuff. I have it and I know what it's budgeted for and I know how to spend it, and it gives me autonomy, right? It gives me autonomy and I am to be responsible for it, right? Same goes for him. It's the same thing in his personal checking account. So for example, if I go to Nordstrom and I see a blouse, a $60 blouse, I'm not panicking or calling Max, can I spend $60? I know I had a her money section monthly that I can use for those small things, right? I could give a little extra in offering, take a friend out to dinner, something like that. That's part of the her money. And it's the same thing for him and his money. He loves custom made shirts. So that's the time where he used those things. If you want to buy his mom a special gift that month or whatever, that's all allocated in that his money part. Meanwhile, the our money section in the joint account, right, takes care of the big household item, such as the mortgage, HOA, which is utilities, food, and car notes. We call that the four walls. Your food, shelter, transportation, and utilities. It takes care of those basic stuff. In addition, this is where you have your savings as a family, money away for emergency funds, car repairs, credit cards, and where we build vacation money, right? We believe in paying for vacation before you take a vacation. So in that household money, that's where those budget item goes, that money goes into that. And we both have full access to the account, the joint account. We both have full access. It's full transparency, right? How did we split the money? How did we know? Well, it wasn't because you make more money, you put more in there. And because you make little money, you put little in there. What we did is we combined it as a household income, right? We combined it as a household income. And then we looked at the percentage of what of those her money look like. And then we split it by percentage. So let's say 20% or 30% of my income goes to the her money. And then the other 70 go into the our money, and then vice versa for him. So that's how we decided, because that way it avoids this whole, well, you make more money, I make more money, I'm bringing more, because it's then a one whole household money, and then it's divided based on percentages, so it's actually fair to both parties. So that's how we split it. That's how we found it worked best for us. So given that that's how we broke down the overall household income, I'm not, I have peace of mind, right? That way it satisfied Max's nerd side of his personality, and it satisfied my free spirit side of my personality, because I have a place to go if I want to buy something, right? And there is no bickering with each other, because we know what our money is handling, what my money I'm free to do with it, and what Max's money he's free to do with it. So now, I want to be clear with this, all right? Please understand this, particularly for the married couples. This formula we've been doing for almost 10 years now is based on trust, love, mutual respect, honesty, and integrity is at the foundation of this way of managing our personal money. I have no reason not to trust my husband, none whatsoever, in the way he manages our family income, because ever since then, he's been consistent at it. Ever since then, he's been true to it. And the understanding is God is the owner of it. We're managing it. So not managing it God's way is not just dishonest to me, but it's dishonest to God. And so it is in our best interest as a couple for the managers of the money, of the talent, to manage it God's way. So, and also the reason why I trust my husband is because in the 10 years we've been doing this, y'all, no lie, our debt are decreasing. Our credit score is improving. The quality of life is improving. Our quality of giving is improving. We are fighting more. The most important part, we are fighting less and less about money because of this way of managing. I don't worry about money issues in our household because there's transparency, there's trust, and I trust my husband to do what he's doing for our family. Okay, so notice that Max is not the one managing the household money because he's the man of the house, right? Because that's the man's job. No, Max is handling it because in this household, he is the better suited, the better skilled at managing the family's finance for purpose-driven life, because we have a purpose with it. We know its purpose now. We know its goal, and we know we are managers of it. So Max is the one handling it because he is best suited. In your marriage, it may be the wife that is best suited to manage the money. Right? So let the person who is best suited to run the money in the household do so, because the goal is you're not even the owner of it. You're managing it. You usually put the best manager in the best position to get the best result. And that's what we did for our marriage, right? And at the end of the day, we're going to be fruitful and it's going to multiply, right? So single, what about you? Okay, Johana, what about us? Well, here's the thing. Same rules apply. Once you understand your attitude, your emotion, your behavior towards money, especially if you do the personality profile I was talking about, once you understand whether you're a nerd, saver, free spirit spender, get yourself an accountability partner. Get yourself an accountability partner that will hold you accountable to a monthly budget, right? That will be objective with you, that will not pacify you, that will tell you the truth about your spending and your saving habits and whatnot. Get that accountability partner so you could start using your money with purpose for kingdom legacy. Because using your money to impress broke people that has nothing to do with your life, because that's the IG lifestyle, adds no value to your life. It really doesn't. It really doesn't matter, right? When you do it that way, it will no longer be an issue for you to live that way, because you now have a purpose and you know the goal of money in your life, right? And you are a purpose-driven individual. And so you are walking with a plan, not a wish, right? You are walking with a purpose, not aimlessly. And money will no longer be an anxiety-inducing thing for you because you have control over it and you are becoming a better manager of what God has entrusted you with. So, and when you want to buy that fancy car, that fancy bag, you feel good about it because guess what? That fancy bag and fancy car don't own you. You own it. It doesn't own you, because there was a budget, there was a plan, there was a purpose, and you could do it without bringing extra burden on your life, right? So that's what applies to you. So I'm going to close with this. So the reason why I started buying into, I was still skeptical about it, particularly in the whole independent woman, you make more money. Oh my God, Max manage, I was a little skeptical about it. But about 5 years ago, it dawned on me that managing the finances that way was really working. And I'm gonna end with this story. So this is how I knew it was working. So we have a couple friend of ours here in Nashville that we just love and we admire them. We hang out at their house all the time. We chill. They have 2 little kids that we just simply adore. The boy just adore Max. And so one day we were at their house about 5 years ago and we noticed their fridge. There was the ice maker and their fridge was not working properly. And, they have little kids, so the kids kept playing with the ice maker. So, of course, obviously, that's the reason why the ice maker broke. And so, we were leaving one evening and I was in the car and it impressed on me and I heard it clearly. God says, buy them a new fridge. And I was like, well, where'd that come from? It's like, oh my gosh, God, we just got on track with our money. This is not in the budget. Like, I don't know how I'm going to tell Max this. Like, oh my God, like I've never been in a position where God is saying, do this and give that way. And so kind of hesitantly, I went to my husband and I was like, honey, here's what I think we should do. What do you think? And Max was like, I think it's a great idea. I was thinking the same thing too. Let's do it. And we're like, yes. And so we're like, okay, next month when we budget, we're going to look at the budget and we're going to make it happen and stuff like that. So we called, Home Depot, we called Lowe's. The next time we went to their house, we were conspicuously looking at the brand of their appliances, and we were kind of conspicuously measuring the fridge and, all of that. We were so excited. We were like, yes, we're going to do it. And it worked out perfectly. One weekend that month, they were going on vacation. And because we're close with each other, we have a spare key to their home. And so we were like, perfect. We're going to arrange for it to be delivered the weekend they're out of town. And so we worked with Lowe's, had the fridge delivered. While we were at it, we actually had their carpet professionally cleaned for them and, all of that. And we didn't tell them anything. So that evening when they got home, they saw a brand new fridge, their carpet cleaned. It was just the most rewarding thing I'd ever experienced in my adult life. And I tell you guys this to say this: if Max and I had not taken control of the talents that God entrusted us with, we wouldn't be in a position to be a blessing to other people. See, that's the purpose of money. Money is not for you to store up your treasure. Money is for you, yes, to create a legacy for your family, but to give yourself the opportunity for God to use you to bless somebody else, because you never know what somebody else is going. But when you're squandering what you are entrusted with because you don't understand its purpose and you are disregarding the owner of it on how to use it, you then don't put yourself to be in that position. And you've heard the Bible verse that said it is better to give than to receive, to be a cheerful giver. I never experienced that verse so vividly in my life during the time when Max and I do more giving than receiving. But the reason why we can do that is because we took control of our money as a team. Right? It was a team effort. It wasn't who made more money. It wasn't my money, his money. Oh, you don't have no say in my money. It was, okay, who is the owner of this? What is my role with this? And how do we manage it effectively and strategically? So not only do we not let money or money issue lead us to divorce, but how do we leave a legacy for our child and our child's child? But then also, how do we position ourselves for us to hear from God when God say, hey, I need you to bless this single mother. I need you to bless this widow. I need you to bless this couple. When you don't take control of that gift, you don't put yourself in a position to be a blessing to others. That has been the biggest takeaway, other than the fact that money argument is practically, thankfully, thank you, Jesus, I don't take it for granted. It's practically non-existent in my marriage, but it's the ability when my husband say, hey, it's been on my heart to send this amount of money to Haiti. It's been on my heart to donate this amount. I cannot tell you the feeling as a wife, as a woman, that I have at the fact that we position ourselves to do that. The only thing I regret is that we didn't do it sooner. We didn't do it earlier. We didn't have this revelation earlier. So in the relationship dynamic of his money, her money, our money, this is what worked for us. Like I said, we're not experts. I'm not saying this works for everybody, but going on 10 years of doing this life this way, it hasn't failed us yet. And I don't think it's going to fail us because we believe it's based on sound biblical principle. And the word is the word, and God's word doesn't come back void to him. And so, I mean, this is how we do money here in the Desir household: his money, her money, and our money. And that's how we manage what God has given us the way he taught us and wants us to do it. So this is how we live and manage God's money, God's way. So thank you for joining me today. I hope y'all got something out of this. I know it's a heavy topic. I went a little longer than I wanted to, but talking about money, I wanted to give you guys practical ways of doing this, what has worked for me and Max, for the close to 10 years, how it's blessed our home. Our daughter has a better understanding of money at a very young age. So we're setting her up to be the difference maker and to set a legacy for her. And so we're just excited, and I wanted to share that with you guys. And if you guys have any questions, again, as usual, you know how to reach me. Email is acupofjoewithjoe@gmail.com. YouTube, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram or on Facebook, or you can always text me if you have my number. So thanks for joining me today. Hope you guys have a wonderful Wednesday. See you next time.